A new Wordle puzzle is online. Click on the link to play.
Listening to the following video may give you clues. Please like and share the videos.
76ers vs Heat Prediction Odds Line 2022 NBA Playoff Picks Game 3. After a disappointing 0-2 loss in Miami, the Philadelphia 76ers return home to face the Miami Heat in Game 3 of their second-round playoff series.
Although Joel Embiid was upgraded to doubtful for Game 3, there is some movement in the line that indicates he could return. I have included player prop predictions for both teams along with odds on the game and more.
76ers vs Heat. The 76ers are back at home after their humbling 0-2 defeat in Miami last week.
Joel Embiid is a questionable scratch for Game 3 after clearing the concussion protocol, but a strong line move suggests he could be ready to play. Below are our picks for this game, along with odds and player prop predictions.
Miami is a top 5 team in limiting the production of opposing power forwards and point guards, while Philadelphia has a bottom 3 record against those players. The Heat are led by Jimmy Butler, who averages 27.4 points and 8.0 rebounds per game.
The Heat also rank first against opposing centers, while the Sixers allow the most points per game by these players. Philadelphia is also a surprisingly poor team defensively, allowing opponents to shoot just 46.7% from the field.
Philadelphia is in desperate need of a win in Game 3 if they want to avoid falling behind 0-3 in the series. They are going to be energized by a home crowd and will be dominated by the Heat's defense.
No team has ever come back from a 3-game deficit in the NBA playoffs. Harden will be putting in a heroic effort to keep his team in the series.
The Miami Heat are the favorite in this 2022 NBA playoffs game. Their 2-1 series lead gives them the edge.
Philadelphia will have to play harder to cut the Miami lead to a single game. The Heat are 150 favorites, and the 76ers have a -130 over-under line.
Using the above information, you can make informed decisions on whether to back Philadelphia or the Heat. 0.76 vs Heat defense.
The 76ers have had success limiting the Heat to low-scoring games this season, and their defensive game plan will continue to be a key factor in the upcoming series. The Heat rank second in the NBA for switching defensive assignments per game, and they have the personnel to change defensive looks throughout the series.
The Sixers' only consistent offensive player is Tobias Harris, but the Heat match up well against most of the team's players. If the Heat can keep Embiid scoring low, the Sixers should lose to the Heat in Game 3.
The Sixers are in desperate need of a victory as they would like to avoid going 0-3 in the series. While they will be buoyed by the home crowd, the Miami Heat are a formidable opponent.
The Heat have won 16 straight games, and they have a massive advantage in rebounding and defense. However, there is a chance that the 76ers could come back, as they were swept in mid-January by the Raptors.
The Miami Heat and Philadelphia 76ers will be playing Game 3 of the 2022 NBA playoffs at Wells Fargo Center on January 15, and the 76ers are a slight 50.4% favorite. As a result, this game could turn out to be a great game of defensive strategy.
If the 76ers can score at least 207 points, they can take down the Heat with ease. While both teams have strong offensive and defensive games, the 76ers are still missing all-star center Joel Embiid.
Embiid's absence is a huge blow for the Sixers, and the Heat must be confident that he'll return to the lineup before Game 3 is played. If not, the Heat will have to scramble to stay alive in the series.
76ers vs Heat lineups haven't played a ton of minutes together. The 76ers vs Heat lineups are not necessarily going to be all-star studded.
This is mainly because the Heat haven't played much together, so their starting lineups may not be as strong as the other two. But that doesn't mean that players can't be effective.
Here's what to look for in a starting lineup. The 76ers have played a lot of lineups together in the regular season, but their best lineups have included Tobias Harris and Georges Niang at 5.
While this lineup might be better than the 76ers, it lacks defensive cohesion. The Heat should look to play with quality spacing and ball movement to create open looks for Jimmy Butler and Tyler Herro.
The Miami Heat are favored in this game. This team has controlled this series so far and hasn't given the 76ers any chances to take control.
Jimmy Butler's offense has been explosive, with 26.5 PPG, 7.7 RPG, and 6.0 OPG in the playoffs. The Heat have a 4-game winning streak, and 4 of their last 5 games have gone over the total.
This is a good situation for the Heat to get healthy. The Heat will not have home court advantage in the playoffs, and their starting lineup could be the same as the regular season.
If the Heat can get healthy in time for pre-playoff camp, they should be able to win. In addition, they should send cocktails and loud music outside the Pacers' window to ensure they don't get too loud.
While the 76ers and Heat haven't played a lot of minutes together, they've been able to put together a team that is capable of competing for the championship. In addition, the 76ers have a superstar quarterback who has a supporting cast.
With that being said, these two teams should make their way to the finals. 76ers vs Heat prediction.
This 76ers vs Heat prediction odds game is the first one in the 2022 NBA playoffs, and the Heat are considered the top-seeded team. Both teams had split regular season series last season, and the Heat dominated the Sixers by double digits.
This matchup could decide the first round in the Eastern Conference. Despite a weaker Sixers team, Miami should be able to win in Game 3.
The Sixers have a tough time going up against the Miami Heat in this series, even if they have home court advantage. In the first game, Philadelphia's Joel Embiid suffered an orbital bone fracture and a mild concussion.
But this time, he could return for Game 3 and possibly even Game 4. While the Heat have a solid bench, they don't have a superstar like Embiid.
The Heat are a 7.5-point home favorite and will cover the 76ers by at least that much. The Vegas oddsmakers have the Heat as a 7.5-point favorite and believe there will be more than 208.5 points scored in this game.
Sportsline's computer model predicts the Heat will win by a large margin. In addition, there are 2 player prop bets that Monique is backing.
The Philadelphia 76ers are hoping to win this Game 3 after suffering a 2-0 loss to the Miami Heat in Round 1. With Joel Embiid's return from injury, they should be able to bounce back to the second round and take on the Heat.
And if they do, they'll have the home court advantage in the next round. So, if you're looking to bet on the 76ers vs Heat prediction odds line 2022 and be a playoff picks game, make sure you check the lines before the game begins.
76ers vs Heat 2022 NBA playoff picks. Currently, the Miami Heat are leading the Philadelphia 76ers by 2-0 in the 2022 NBA playoffs conference semifinals.
However, the 76ers will have to play hard to cut down on the Miami Heat's lead in this Game 3 matchup. The Heat are favorites with minus 150 odds, while the 76ers are 130.
The over-under line for Game 3 is set at 210.0 points. The Heat opened as 3-point favorites for this game, but they have since shaved that number down to 1.5.
Embiid's return is the most important news for the Sixers, as they have struggled without their all-star center. While the 76ers have been dominating the Sixers without Embiid, there is a chance that they will not win the series this time around.
Embiid was injured in Game 1 against Toronto, and he has yet to play in the series. If Embiid does not play, Philadelphia will be forced to settle for the moneyline at plus 270.
With Miami's top-notch defense, the Sixers are unlikely to score more than 102 points per game. However, the Sixers' offense is lacking in depth and bench players.
Embiid and Victor Oladipo combined to score 47 points in Game 2, but both of them have been limited in recent games. While Embiid is the Sixers' best player, he hasn't played well this series.
Embiid is expected to play in Game 3 but is not yet ready to return due to a hamstring injury. Embiid will give his best effort to get the Sixers to Game 3 and avoid a 0-3 series loss.
Both teams have a good record against the over-under this season. Game 2's over-under was underset.
This is due to poor 3-point shooting by Philadelphia. The Heat shot just 8 for 30 from downtown in the first game of the series.